Two things I want to talk about. I want to talk about recovery and relapse, and then tomorrow, or the next day, probably, we'll talk about spiritual awakenings. Let's read just for today. May the 1st. Service, self-worth, and service. Being involved in service makes me feel worthwhile. When most of us arrived in the Narcotics Anonymous, we had very little self-worth left to salvage. Many members say that they begin to develop self-esteem through being or service earlier in their recovery. Sometimes just sort of the miracle occurs when we begin to have a positive impact on others' lives through our service effects. Most of us don't have a lot of experience, strength, or hope to share the 30 days clean. In fact, some members will tell us in no uncertain terms that we can do best is listening. But a 30-day, we do offer something of the addict just coming onto the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, struggling to get 24 hours clean. The very newest NA members, the one with the desire to stop using and more of the tools can handle. Imagine among staying clean a year or 2 or 10, but he or she can relate to those people with 30 years clean, picking up the key tag with a look of pride and disbelief, embracing their faces. Service is something that is unique gift, something that no one can take away from us. We give and we get. Though service, many of us start on the sometimes long road back to becoming productive members of society. Just for today, I will be grateful for my opportunity to be of service. One of the things we have to remember in relapse is there's 3 main stages to relapse: emotional relapse, mental relapse, and physical relapse. Some of us in our recovery have to continue to go out and relapse till we learn that that way just doesn't work for us. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you a problem person. It doesn't even make you a bad person. You're an addict. In emotional relapse, you're not thinking about using, but your emotions and behaviors are setting up for the possibility of relapse in the future. I know for myself, when I did my relapse, I had already planned this months ahead. You know, my buddy, well, can't even call him my buddy. You know, my acquaintance, my using buddy, called me up and said, "Come on over, have a couple of beer." No, 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 no. So because of that, I started an emotional relapse, anxiety, intolerance, um, anger, defensiveness, mood swings, isolation, not asking for help, not getting to meetings, poor eating habits, and sleeping habits. The signs of emotional relapse are also the symptoms of post-acute withdrawal. Um, you can go through an emotional relapse without going through a physical relapse. Emotional relapse is the first sign that something's wrong, and you need to reach out to whoever your person you trust is. If you understand that post-acute withdrawal is easier to avoid relapse because the earlier stages of relapse is easier to pull back from. In the later stages, the pulling of the relapse gets stronger and the sequence of events moves faster. So, early prevention relapse methods are very simple. We must practice, practice, practice self-care. Take care of ourselves. Shave. If you're a man, shave, bath, clothe yourself. Get yourself dressed every day. It's important. Get a routine going. Don't deviate from that routine. You know, um, if you're having trouble, you can get a hold of us at ABBAS Treatment Center. We're on Facebook. Um, I'm usually online, so once you don't deal with your problem in emotional relapse, you become and step into a mental relapse. This, depending on the person, depending on the gravity of the situation, can take a certain amount of time. Each person is different. You walk into a room with 25 people, you have 25 different versions of the truth. So, the signs of mental relapse. In mental relapse, there is a war going on in your mind. Part of you wants to use, part of you doesn't. In the earlier phase of mental relapse, you are just ideally thinking about using. But the later phase, you've definitely thinking about using. These signs are like this: thinking about people, places, and things you used to be with. I miss Sam and John and all the gang. I miss talking and having a beer and sitting there and enjoying myself. You know. Then, after we get through that, we start glamorizing our past use. For the life of me, I've been clean for 2 decades now, and I can't think of one good thing about my using days. It's all unhappy, you know, lying, hanging out with old friends. They don't want to be around me. They don't care about me. I mean, while I've been in recovery, they haven't even called me. But now that I got money and I got drugs, they want to be around me. Fantasizing about using. Anything's got to be better than this. It's simply not as hard to not use as it is to use. Thinking about relapsing, planning your relapse around another person's schedule. So when are we going to meet? It gets harder to make the right choices as we pull of addiction gets stronger. Remember these 3 things if you get to this stage. HALT, which means hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. Call your sponsor and get to a meeting. It will save your bacon. These are techniques that I used to help me when I get in that mental relapse mode. I play the tape all the way through. I go through the going to the bar and getting drunk and then going to the fight and getting into a fight and I end up in jail again. So I don't want to do that. Tell someone you're having issues and want to use. This is usually done when you call your sponsor, or if you have an addiction counselor, or chemo, or call the treatment center here on Facebook. Distance yourself from others. Sometimes the best way to deal with the situation is you and that person one-on-one. Get in your own space. Get out of the world. Get out of your house and get with them. Wait 30 minutes. Urges usually last 15 to 30 minutes. It's just a matter of getting through this. Just let me get through this, Lord. Just help me get through this. Just take me through this. Just help me stay clean. Help me stay clean. Help me stay clean. It's like the old engine. The little blue engine that had a load that never should have gone up that hill. And he was too weak to take it up. But what did he say at the bottom of that hill? He started rolling his wheels and he began climbing. And as he began climbing, he said, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. He convinced himself that he could. Then he started saying, I thought I could, I thought I could, I thought I could, I thought I could. He gets to the top of the mountain and he says, I knew I could, I knew I could, I knew I could. You know, We are our own worst critics as addicts. You know, if we listen to negative self-talk, that crazy, maniacal, filthy, stinking talk that those people who hate us are jealous of us say, you'll never amount to anything, you're never going to go anywhere, yada, 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 yada. All I hear when I hear that now is the Charlie Brown cartoon, and that's wah, 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 wah. Don't even understand what they're saying, don't care, you know. I'm in my own little world. Don't try and do it all in one day. If you're new to the program, give yourself a break, man. I mean, seriously. What do you got, 1 day, 1 hour, or even minutes? You are the same as we are in those rooms. No one is better. It doesn't matter if they have a degree or doctor or a law degree or a pastor's license. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter one bumpkus. It doesn't matter if they have 5 years of college or community college. It doesn't matter if they have 8 years of university and are a doctor or a lawyer or a bookkeeper or an accountant. It doesn't matter. They're an addict. In those rooms, we are equal. It's important that you make relaxation part of your daily recovery. It helps us focus. It helps us reevaluate those steps. One of my most crucial tools that I used to use was I played the tape all the way out. I went to the beginning from the time I picked it up till the time it got worse and worse and worse. And, I played it out many times, man. It's not worth it, man. I mean, seriously. Walk with me here. Take a little trip with me. When you first come off your drug of choice, and you felt that anxiety, that nauseating, that feeling, that vibrating, that awful feeling of guilt and shame and remorse and bitterness for all the people I took advantage of. Do you want to live that again? Well, before you go into a mental relapse mode, let me tell you this. Nothing changes. It's still the crappy, disgusting, filthy, egotistical, maniacal world out there. It's all doggy dog. You got no money, you get nowhere. You know, you don't do what you're supposed to do, you don't get nowhere. If you don't rob, cheat, steal, and lie, manipulate, and connive, and empower, and manipulate, and intimidate, if you don't do that, you're never going to make it in the drug world. So it hasn't changed. And those people that come back from relapse. So let's just play it out, and you didn't take the time to take the steps to go through emotional relapse or emotional prevention. You didn't take the steps to go through mental prevention. So now you're in physical relapse. It doesn't matter that you're sitting in your dealer's house or in a bar. Doesn't matter. What matters is the quicker you get back to a meeting, the better it's going to be. Let me read this to you. Once you start thinking about relapse, if you don't use some of the techniques mentioned above, it does not take long for you to go there to the physical relapse, driving to the liquor store, driving to your dealer. It's hard to stop the process of relapse at this point. You're on a suicide mission. You're on a loaded freight train, and you're on a rocket ship, and you're headed out of this world. There's not where you should focus your efforts in recovery. It's in achieving acceptance through brute force. But it is not recovery if you recognize the warning signs of relapse and understand the symptoms of post-acute withdrawal. You'll be able to catch yourself before it's too late. If you go out, it's not the end of the world. You know, many people in this program have gone through what you're going through. You're not alone. You know, you never have to be alone. An addict in his own mind is a horrible place to be, because you start listening to those old tapes and they play. And you ever have a record that goes of it, of it, of it, of it, of it? Well, that's what it seems like. It keeps sticking on that. You know? If you're going to listen to your psyche, listen to your inner voice. Listen to what other people say in a program. It can save your life. It will save your life. You know? You know, Narcotics Anonymous never promises that you'll never want to feel like using again. But I promise you, I swear to you, by my life, that if you follow this simple method, I can pretty much guarantee you will not go out. Because if you're reliving and dealing with the issues as they come, you know, it can't get to be a problem. You know, because that's not the way this works. You know, is life fair? I'd be lying if I told you it was. Does life deal us a bad hand? I'd be lying if I told you it doesn't. You know, I don't know if you're country fans or rock and roll fans, but the song that comes to my heart you know, is Natalie Grant Clean, you know, and it's so beautiful the way that song is written, how it describes God cleaning out us and making us new vessels for Him, you know, to become that shining light in times of trouble, of problems or issues that come up for people. You know, we're not meant to go through this life alone. You know, we're meant to be with those who care about us and stand with us. You know, see, if you're anything like me, I don't want a sponsor who tells me what I want to hear. Oh, it'll be okay. It'll be all right. Everything will be fine. You'll get through this. No, no, no. I want him to tell me the truth. Life sucks. It has good points and it has bad points. And sometimes it just bites the big one. But when we actually realize that we are in control of that, we're not in control of our destiny, but we are in control of that choice, that issue, that problem that is facing us. You know, we don't have to worry about that. You know, you know, we are social creatures. We need to be around human contact. You know, if you're in the situation where, you know, you're having problems or issues, that's what the treatment center's for. You know, you don't have to be afraid. No matter what the time. If I'm on, I'm available. You know, because I know at night is the hardest time for me. So, my fellow addicts, pick up your socks, put on your adult pants, and do what comes natural. You know, you don't have to suffer through despair, and you don't have to suffer through that alone. You know, you don't. Trust me, I've been there. You know, and sometimes it's horrible, and sometimes it's hard, and sometimes it's rough. But when we pray, it said in the Bible, it said in the program, um, if you want help, ask. Nobody in this program is going to refuse you. No one. I have yet called, no matter what time, a sponsor and them not want to talk to me. No. No. Because helping an addict is a two-way street. You know, it is. We never have to fight alone no more. I hope this has helped you in your time of need and time of problems. You know, if you need a power, um, let me know, and I will help you find that power, and together we will search out and find what works for you, what works best for you. You know, because we need to do that for one another. No question is too stupid. There's no dumb questions. The only dumb question is the one not asked. So if you can do that, you can do anything. And you don't have to fight this alone. Look us up. ABBAS Treatment Center. We're on Facebook. I do counseling. I'm an addiction counselor. I do biblical stuff as well. If you want to find your power greater than yourself, I can help you find that. It's very easy. When I'm ended up to here, and sometimes going down for the third time, and I reach that hand out, and I say, please help me, God. He lifts me out of the muck and mire and the clay. It doesn't matter how many times I get there. He has never said to me, I'm not helping you. Get yourself out. He always throws me a lifeline. Gives me a way out. When nobody cared, nobody understood, nobody loved me, he did. That's the power that I'm talking about. They say in the program, you should never say you're never going to use again. Well, I've been in this program that I can pretty much say that, using is not an option for me. I will always be an addict. But today, I am a recovering addict who's a productive member of society. Just remember that when you need a friend.